Hello, I'm going to do a brief tutorial with my husband on how he uses technology in his sermon planning and in his Bible study or Sunday school or all his preparation that he does to get ready for church.
Hello, good afternoon.
How do you use technology? What are we looking at here on the screen?
Okay, well, we're looking at Evernote, and this is really handy for me. Very easy to use. Basically, I collect a lot of articles that I find on the internet, whether they're from the news or whether they're from books, or I can get my resources from just about anywhere. And there's a feature here at the top of the screen that's the shape of an elephant right there. It's called Evernote Clipper. So whenever I come across an article or if I come across something in a book, I just have to touch that and it will clip out the article and it will save it for me on Evernote. And if I, and what and the way I want to go find that article, because maybe I may or may not use that article today or tomorrow. I may use it in the future. But say I want to find articles about money, I would just type in the search bar money, and does a word search through all my articles. I think I have like 600 articles in there. 716, as a matter of fact, is all my articles. And it'll find that word, and it will give me all my articles where it has the word money in it. So it helps me to narrow down by topic what kind of article I'm looking for. And it's very useful. I also, what I'll do is I'll create a blank page, and I'll do sermon planning on here. I like to plan out my sermons um, every month to try to kind of get ahead, get my thoughts together. Of course, I leave leeway for myself. On the left hand side where it says sermon prep, if you scroll down, uh, you can go to this month in February. And so you would have to go to all notes. Now, by all means, there's so many things you can do with Evernote. I don't use everything on it. I just use the things that I feel that are easy for me. And basically, as I'll write down my month, my year, my thoughts, and then I like to constantly um, deal with three certain main uh, issues as I preach throughout the month. I'll have a section for sin, a section for encouragement and hope, and a section for discipleship and challenge. And I like to have a constant rotation of those issues. And as I go along, I fill them out, I fill them in. Sometimes I do everything in the beginning, sometimes I do it in the middle of the month. It kind of depends. And that's the gist of my sermon planning, really, as I like to map it out. I like to just get things ahead and know where I'm going, and try to collect information as I go along, just to help me stay organized.
Okay, and for your sermons, you don't actually use this program to write your sermons, correct?
No, I use a Microsoft Word.
Okay, and do you print them off, or what do you use? How do you preach them?
What I do is I save it on Dropbox. I have a file. I call it Sermons Dan, and in that Dropbox, I put all my sermons, notes, ideas. I save them there, um, and from that point, I will do something called a synchronize on Dropbox, and on my tablet. I have a tablet that I preach from. I don't use paper. I don't use printers. Um, Really saves a lot of space and a lot of this thing about in the past it would be really easy to lose a sermon because it's on paper. Now it's pretty easy. Also, here here in Belize, sometimes the power goes out, and don't have to worry about preaching in the dark or not, and they're getting candles because your tablet is lit already. It already has light. So I do everything by my tablet, and I'm able to move information around very neatly and quickly, and also very legibly.
Okay, great. So maybe we can open up one of your sermons here so we can look at it. And y- you said you use Dropbox and an app on your. You have an Android or an iPad? What do you have?
Samsung, I think it's 10.1. Note.
Okay, so you have the Note tablet, and you use an app called DropSync, and we'll put a link in the show notes that will explain to people what is DropSync, how they can get that. Okay, so I guess this is are these arranged by the dates here? So okay, so here we opened up one of your sermons. You want to go over how you plan your sermon?
Okay. Yeah, I put the date at the top, and that way I can track it. When I preached it, and when I follow the way, I can find it. And then, of course, my title, and I'll have an opening illustration, and then I take my main text. I preach textual sermons mainly, and actually use two texts here. The main one being Ecclesiastes, and then I'll have a supporting sermon to give an example or an illustration in the book of Esther. Then I got three different points. And the first point, I like to examine the problems or issues that I'm trying to raise in the sermon based from the text. Okay, and then I'll use an example, many times an Old Testament story. Here I use Esther's example, Haman, and then second point, we usually have a purpose involved in that, and sometimes there's one purpose or two or three purposes, just depending on how in depth I want to go or what direction I want to go with it. And then I usually like to close with some kind of hope or application, and do my altar call.
Sounds good. And I notice you use a lot of color. That helps you with your tablet, I guess.
Yeah, I like to color code things so just to help keep my thoughts intact. Things that are in red, they're highlighted things. Those are things I like to emphasize. That's like what I would say the meat. In my mind, when I think of meat, I think of steak. I think of red, the meat of the scripture, and then purple. I like to highlight my purpose, my hope, and my problem with that. And then black is letters that are in black. I like to leave that just for my own comment, my own thinking, or my scriptures. And I'll use headings. I'll use like titles, headings, points. I'll use numbers, letters, um, and throughout there, I'll literally there'll be some quotes, there'll be some illustrations.
Okay, well, thank you very much. This was very helpful to to me on how you use technology in your sermon planning, your sermon building, and then presenting your sermon, on your tablet. But thank you very much.